Many of you in this chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look, it's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court majority wrote the following, and with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. Electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you're right about that. Those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women. But they found out when reproductive freedom was on the ballot. We won in 2022 and 2020, and we'll win again in 2024.
With all due respect, justices, I think that was added because they were so close. And that line from their own opinion, women are not without power. That was an impassioned President Joe Biden confronting, literally, the conservative Supreme Court justices and assembled Republicans in the chamber last night, highlighting the issue that the GOP is most afraid of ahead of the 2024 election and beyond, frankly. Their role, their choice to overturn and do everything in their power to make sure that it would be overturned, a woman's right to choose, Roe v. Wade. And as the president put it last night, the other freedoms they're aggressively pursuing next. The table's back with us. This might not have been, the soundbite moment, but this is a structural political issue. Is Biden and Harris's biggest strength, and Trump and whoever he picks biggest weakness?
There was something cathartic in seeing President Biden, even just rhetorically confront these justices, because I think since the Dobbs ruling, a lot of Americans have felt, especially women, a little helpless and a little scared and wondering, does democracy, does electoral politics still work? Is there anything that we can do about this? And I think it was cathartic to see the president of the United States say, give me a Democratic Congress and I will make Roe v. Wade the law of the land. We actually do have elections in this country, and electoral politics should matter, not simply gerrymandering, trying to keep people from voting through various forms of suppression or a conservative-packed Supreme Court, and that the voters will actually and should have the final say. And I think that really was in keeping with his theme last night of this is still a democracy. And we're going to act like it. We're going to fight for it. And I'm going to continue I'm able to do that. And I think that was really encouraging. And I believe that there will be voters who will see that and say, wait a second, we could make Roe v. Wade law? Mm-hmm. Yes, there are things that you can do through the democratic process. I think Trumpism is really focused on making Americans feel like nothing matters, like people's votes don't matter. Mm-hmm. And it's just not true, or they wouldn't be trying to take our votes away.
I think that's absolutely right. I also think when you look at the failures in deep red corners of the country, it's Trump's own coalition voting against abortion bans. I mean, this pressures Trump more than perhaps any other issue. I think there are probably, and I'll have to look at this, all the pollsters I've ever worked with are probably cringing that I'm about to make a poll prediction, but I bet there are greater numbers in the Trump coalition who believe that the election was stolen than believe that abortion should be illegal. I mean, the unpopularity of criminalizing abortion, and the Republican bans, they eliminate all the exceptions. They criminalize. I mean, they are so extreme, and they are so known now, with women dying, with women with sepsis waiting in parking lots to be critically ill. It's happening.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's any question about
right?
your polling.
You'll cover me with Matt Dowd and all the other pollsters in my life.
What we learned the other night was that in a lot of these big Republican states, just according to the exit polls, is that you've got somewhere where you have like a third of California Republicans who think the election was legitimate. You have like these. Right. The numbers are overwhelming, and I think we've seen in Kansas and some of these other really red states is that that when push is not. When we moved from the realm of the pre-Dobbs world, where I think of like all of that polling on abortion before that was what they call in Congress a free vote. It's like you're allowed to say whatever you want to a pollster because basically we know Roe v. abortion,
the law of the land.
the law of the land, and so I can express my moral outrage or my actual concern about life beginning at conception. Whatever you want to say, you'll say it. And then all of a sudden, the next day, it's like, yes, but now your daughter, your daughter-in-law, your granddaughter, or whatever is the one who's going to be impacted if they get raped and they're 14 years old, et cetera, et cetera. All of a sudden, it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, that now ask me the question. Now, and that's what's changed, right? Mm-hmm. I think in Trump's Republican Party, he's got a huge problem. Now, he has proven adept at getting around this abortion thing and kind of talking about being pro-life. He's proven it since 2016, where we know his history, we know what he said in the past, we know he's been openly pro-choice in the past, and then now he's pro-life. And you ask him questions, and then people seem to give him, in the Republican Party at least, have given him a pass on that to a large extent. But again, that was all pre-Dobbs. Now we're in the post-Dobbs world, and the difficulty of managing that issue for Donald Trump, given what he said about the Supreme Court and given what the reality has been and the political impact, is maybe the paramount strategic political challenge that the Trump campaign has to deal with going forward towards the fall, and it's not going to be easy.
The problem, and he can be verbally nimble. The word used to be flip-flopper and untethered from truth, but I think our politics have moved on from that. But the problem is Amanda Zarowski. The problem is the women in Alabama whose embryos are currently frozen and the clinics that are probably terrified to do business with that 11 lawyers in the room. The problem is even women in New York are going and seeking sterilization surgeries because they don't trust the government to preserve their right to make choices about their body. The problem is this is now the lived truth and the lived reality for women in America.
No, the problem is the lived reality. And this is a reality that all women have to deal with, and most women are outraged by. And then the optics that they showed last night. You're going to have a president challenge respectfully the Supreme Court on their behalf while you have your rebuttal woman standing in the kitchen like Aunt Bee in the 1950s on Gomer Pyle's show or something. So women are looking, oh, you want us back in the kitchen. You've already taken away our right to choose. And then, oh, yeah, tomorrow your candidate's going to have to pay a woman over $90 million, or at least put up the bond for violating a woman. You couldn't have a worse 24 hours if you wanted Donald Trump to appeal to women. You're posting a $91 million bond 12 hours after the president challenged the Supreme Court that you stacked, and you put a woman in the kitchen with an apron on playing a modern-day version of Aunt Bee.